So far I've been showing you really good examples of fairly conventional processors. I mean, we've all heard amp sims, we've all heard tremolos and compressors and things like that. But there's also a couple really cool effects in here. And this one's called the Micro G. And it's basically well, I'll show you. It does several things well. One of the things it does well is filtering, like multiple envelope filters. And you can do the normal envelope filter tricks. You can increase the resonance if you like obnoxious sounds. You can lower it for a fatter sound. You can change where the end frequency is if you want to go higher. You can have it decay if you reverse the start and the end. All the usual stuff. Throw in a sub-octave. So that's kind of a nice effect when you're trying to add like pads and atmospheric things and competing with your keyboard player. Yeah. But you can also, I've got another preset here which is kind of the exact opposite. It's very much like, how many here remember a thing that Roland did called the GR300, the guitar synthesizer? Anybody? Okay, so what was cool about that, it wasn't MIDI. It just processed the strings. No tracking problems, no latency, sounded really cool. As soon as it went to MIDI, that was like a step in the wrong direction. These are not switches, you know? So I've missed my GR300 until now. There's your GR300, by golly, it's back. It doesn't have the blue box, but although the Micro G is blue, so I mean the Micro B, the bass version. So that's really fun. That gives you a whole bunch of texture. So between that, the multi-fuzz, all these other things, you now have the power to do like power chords in a bunch of different really articulated ways. And the thing you'll find out, once you start putting these kinds of sounds into a mix, you don't need to layer that other guitar. You know, it really does everything you need, you know, because it's got that thick sound, it's articulated, it's happy, it's wonderful. If you want to layer one, go ahead, but, you know, and especially with those different mics. You know, those room mics are giving you that wide imaging, that kind of layering thing. And I'm kind of like a Miles Davis fan. You know, what matters is what you don't play, so that what you do play becomes that much more important. So when you're not layering guitars or not layering vocals, you get the natural, real sound of what you're supposed to be hearing, you know? So that's one of the side benefits, and actually one of the side non-benefits of not using backing tracks, so I could show that. But you get the idea, right? You guys can figure that out. Now, but there's more than just the Micro G. There's also the MegaSynth. And you have to use that kind of a voice with it. You have to say MegaSynth. You can't just say MegaSynth. You've got to like drop your pitch down an octave. And it can give some fairly nice conventional say. If you look at it, it's basically like a modular synth. You've got filters, you've got signal sources, square wave, octave, input, sub-octave. You've got modulation, controls, envelopes, LFOs, patterns, all that. So you can do some pretty sophisticated things, but you can also do, I'm going to start off with something fairly simple. Little Wes Montgomery. All right, and if you play actual octaves on instead of just one string, now you've got 3 octaves going. And I think that's a really nice octave sound. And by the way, I have a Wes Montgomery trick for all you Wes Montgomery fans. How many here know who Wes Montgomery was? The octave guy? Okay, you'll appreciate this. So he didn't play octaves by plucking the 2 strings. He strummed them and he used his middle finger to mute the strings in between. So he got this much fatter sound because of the muted strings. So that's why Wes Montgomery sounded like Wes Montgomery and I don't. Okay? So he had it really down. But the MegaSynth, let me show you something since we're kind of short on time here. Let me also show you something that's a little more maybe EDM-ish. Different patch. Here I've got a square wave and the input of the guitar going into a filter. And you can hear a pattern changing in the background. And the pulsing from the LFO, these are all tempo sync effect. Okay, so you can do all those kind of tempo sync things that are a lot of fun. And you can the patching is actually pretty easy. You just take something, you drag it over. If you want to modulate something, let's say an LFO, you take that, you drag it to the cutoff. So it's all fairly intuitive in terms of patching. So that is 5.3% of what these Samp Sims and Stomp boxes can do. I haven't even shown you most of the Stomp boxes. Thank you very much.